Joining us now, our friend Rick Santorum, a former senator from the great state of Pennsylvania, and he joins us now. Hey, Rick, how are you?
I'm doing great, Laura. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So just don't call me grandiose, please. What was that all about?
The point there is, for this was a question, as you know, when it was asked that, Congressman Gingrich suggested that I get out of the race after having, won Iowa and finished ahead of him in New Hampshire, and then it was time for me to get out of the race. That to me, it's is really, and after I was endorsed by a whole group of conservative leaders in Texas, that he sent a team to, as did I, to make the case for each of us. So that to me just, was.
But how is that grandiose? That might be. I think you called it, arrogant or borderline arrogant the other day. But to me, that's not grandiose.
Well, what he said was that I didn't have the capacity that he had to be able to pull together a national strategy and a national team and a vision for the. I mean, that he was more capable of doing these things than I was, and that to me just has that just shows someone who is in some respects disconnected with the reality of what's been going on out there on the ground, and I wasn't going to sit on the sidelines and let someone sort of paint this vision that he's this great visionary leader and executor. And that was the other point I made in that discussion, which is,
but he is the leader, Rick. I mean, Rick. Reality check here. He is the leader right now.
Let me. He's leading in the polls in this race. I've already won a state. He's finished 4th and 5th in the first 2 states, of which in New Hampshire he had every advantage. He had a huge amount of money, resources, plus the Manchester Union leading endorsement. So, and this is his neighboring state. Look, he's going to do better here. I understand that. This is a long race, Laura. And we got to race, and we got to go out there and fight in every area of the country and be able to win this election and win the election in the general election with a candidate who will make Barack Obama the issue in this campaign, not the Republican candidate. That's the case I was making yesterday. And if you look at Congressman Gingrich's run as Speaker of the House, he only served 4 years. He had a conservative coup against him in 3 years because he was not someone who conservatives could rely upon to do what was necessary to move that agenda forward. That, to me, shows that there is a disconnect between a grandiose vision and the ability to be able to execute a vision for the conservative cause.
Did he accomplish a lot of really good things when he was Speaker, yes or no?
Did we accomplish them in the United States Senate at the same time? The answer is yes. And by the way, I had a role to play, as did many other people in it.
You sure did. And we've been crowing about all your accomplishments consistently, along with Gingrich's and along with Romney's. I mean, I think all three of you bring great strengths to this race, and I think you demonstrated them last night. I think you've demonstrated them in Iowa. I gave you major props on the O'Reilly factor last night, saying, look, Santorum has a right to come into this today and say, look, guys, 1st in Iowa, 4th in New Hampshire, and got a huge endorsement from these Texas conservatives. Listen to me, listen to my take, and I think you're right to say that. And I've said this consistently. I also believe, however, that at some point, all of us as conservatives have to understand that this can't go on forever, right? And if there is not an alliance that forms at some point, we're going to be in big trouble.
We're at the 3rd primary. I mean, what is this? I don't know what's going on here. I mean, we're at the 3rd race out of 50, and all of a sudden we have to gel. Everybody has to step aside for somebody else. This is silly. Quit playing into the media's frenzy that somehow or another that if someone doesn't, everybody doesn't back away and anoint someone, that this race is going to fall apart. Let the process work. Quit trying to manipulate it from the top down. That's not what conservatives believe in. We believe in letting the people vote, letting this process work out. Eventually it will, and maybe it will be Newt, maybe it'll be me, maybe it'll be Romney, but let the process work instead of trying to make some deal.
I'm definitely known for not standing up for conservative values for the last 30 years. That's definitely what I'm known for. I'm known for manipulating things from the top, Rick. Come on, man. I mean, that's just cheap. That's ridiculous. The process is working right now. You did really well in Iowa, and you trounced the establishment. The question is, can you turn that great victory in Iowa and a strong showing, considering everything you were up against in New Hampshire, into a groundswell from South Carolina on forward? That's a realistic take. take. That's a factual take. I'm not trying to take you out of the equation. But at some point, either you or Gingrich, don't you agree, is going to emerge to take on Mitt Romney. That is a fact, is it not?
Absolutely, but that's not what you were saying. You were giving the indication that what Newt was saying for me to get out of the race was a legitimate thing here in South Carolina.
No, I was not saying that at all. I don't think you should get out of the race. I think that's ridiculous. We need to see what happens in South Carolina, and South Carolina's critical. The question is, do you and Newt, each of you individually, have enough money and organization to take on the big dog still as Mitt Romney on a national campaign? That's all I'm asking, and I think that's a legitimate question. So do you have the money coming in that will help you move through South Carolina, depending on how you finish?
Yeah, we do. We're actually doing very, very well. We've picked up a lot of support from Governor Perry's team, and again, I think our vision out there talking about the economic success for everybody in America is a great vision for the country. And when we get into a lot of the states that are the key states for us, not just in the primary but in the general election, and that's the industrial heartland of America, and outside of Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich's backyard, and actually get into these states where the message that I have is a winning one. I feel very, very comfortable that we'll do very well.
By the way, I don't know if you saw this, Rick, but I don't want to dwell on this Newt Gingrich stuff, but he said on this program a few days ago that he is not saying that you should get out of the race. In fact, he said that would be wrong of me to ask anyone to get out of the race, especially given how well you did. And he also said on NewsHour last night that Santorum has the right to keep running. He was just declared the winner in Iowa. But he went on to say, as you do, and both of you say the same thing, look, I have the mojo, I have the support, I have the conservative credentials, and I think both of you have, are well within your right to saying that. So I think sometimes in the heat of this campaign, people take umbrage at things that are said, and look, you're both trying to win this, and I think you both deserve enormous respect for fighting as hard as you have and working as hard as you have. But I don't know if you were aware that he actually said that last night.
I'm glad he's changed his opinion from saying that we should move aside. That's great. I'm glad he now, he's taken the position that I've taken consistently, which is that candidates shouldn't call for other candidates to get out of the race, and that anybody that wants to run candidates should run, and they should stay in as long as they believe that they're adding to the equation and doing what is best for the causes
right.
that they believe in, and I'm going to continue to do that.
Hey, Rick, on the again, thinking about who will be the one to emerge to take on the more establishment choice, which is clearly Romney, is in the end, is grandiose and what Newt Gingrich represented in Congress better than Mitt Romney, who you said in your new ad, which I thought was incredibly well produced, where you said Romney's basically like Obama. He's kind of the carbon copy of Obama. I think we played it yesterday. Which would be better? If it can't be you, which would be better, grandiose or a carbon copy of Obama?
Look, I'm not getting into that game. I mean, I'm focused on me, and I'm focused on my race. I think what we need is someone who is not too hot and not too cold. Someone who can go out there and deliver a strong, consistent, conservative message. One of growth, one of opportunity, one of strong national security and understanding, and be able to go out and talk about faith and family and freedom and the basic moral issues of our country that allow us to be free and safe. So. That's what I'm going to focus on, and I'm not going to be interested in picking winners and losers beyond that.
Do you think this Marianne Gingrich interview or the revelation that open marriage is that something that's going to affect or should affect the voters of South Carolina? I know you said last night it goes. I believe you said it goes to the character question. Is there something new in that gives you even greater pause about Newt Gingrich?
I've said this repeatedly. I'm someone who believes in forgiveness, and people do make mistakes and do things that are wrong, but at the same time, you're particularly accountable for things that you did when you were in public life, and in this case, as Speaker of the House. And so you're going to be held accountable for the things you do. You obviously are forgiven for them and seek forgiveness, and America is a great and forgiving country. But that doesn't mean that you don't factor all things that people do, particularly in their public life, when making decisions on how you vote.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know if you saw this New York Times piece today. They said that you said Newt stood by and did nothing while you exposed the House banking scandal. But today, the New York Times said he gave your insurgency his support. Is that right?
Newt Gingrich did nothing publicly to support it. Now, did he privately say, this was a good thing to do? Yes, he did. But if we were private, if things would have been kept private, nothing would have happened. The bottom line is, we went out there and took the arrows and made that happen. Was Newt fighting us like other members of leadership? Absolutely not. And publicly, I have said that in the past, that he did not fight us. That in fact encouraged us, but did nothing publicly to support us.
Mm-hmm. So that indicates, in your mind, he's not a stalwart champion of fighting corruption and.
No, not at all. Newt has been, and I've said this repeatedly, Newt's been out there fighting the wars on the front line. But what we were talking about was the 1994 race, and what we're talking about is taking the Congress. And and what I was saying is that one of the principal things and that led to the 1994 victory was the scandal, the broad scale scandal that Jim Nussle and John Boehner and a group of us called the Gang of Seven exposed in the House banking and post office scandal. And my point was simply this, that we were the ones out there leading the charge and taking the arrows, and Newt wasn't. And it was just a factual statement. I wasn't criticizing Newt as
all right, I get it.
He hadn't done things in the past. He'd done a lot of things in the past.
Yep, I get it.
I was a fan of Newt. I'm a friend of his. I think he's done a lot of great things in his career, and I've given him credit where credit was due.
I get it. This thing about Romney's tax return last night, at this point, do you think he's hiding something in his tax returns?
I have no idea. To me, these are, you have the ethics form you fill out. If there's some reason he doesn't want to share that, I think tax returns are personal. I'm willing to go out and when I get home, get my tax return and let everybody see it. But again, I'm not too sure that it's going to show anything other than the fact that he paid a lot of capital gains and taxes as opposed to income taxes, and that's when wealthy people have the ability to control how they receive income, and I'm sure that's what he did. If there's any more, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. It just seems he seems perpetually caught off guard by the obvious questions on tax returns, and I think that to me I don't understand that. I think he should just release them and talk about how he's going to make everybody else be rich. I just think that was odd. Your tax returns are on your home computer or something? You, unlike other people, do your own taxes.
Yeah, I do my own taxes. So,
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's. I hesitate to say I use TurboTax because that now is with Tim Geithner. That's now a very dangerous thing to say. But
huge.
That's what I do use.
Oh, that is hilarious, Rick. We think you hit it out of the park in so many ways over this the course of this campaign season. And last night, I thought it was a great debate. You got high grades from most people who were covering this debate, including in my Twitterverse. So we appreciate it very much. We wish you the best of luck tomorrow and fighting for family values and staunch conservatism. Rick Santorum, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Laura. Always appreciate the opportunity to come on, and we'll look forward to seeing you down the road.